Hi, my name's Tymoni, and I'm Generation Progress's Digital Media Associate. Now, over the next few weeks, I'll be talking with experts about how issues like climate change, student debt, and LGBTQ rights intersect with reproductive justice. So for those of you who don't know, reproductive justice is a human right, and it protects our individual decisions to have a child, not have a child, and even parent in safe, healthy environments. So I want to note that the RJ movement was started in the 90s by a group of Black women activists. And it was because they felt there was no movement that defended the needs of women of color and other marginalized groups. So today I'm here with Maritza Perez. She's the director of the Office of National Affairs at Drug Policy Alliance. Maritza, welcome.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right, let's get into it. So a few weeks ago, Pew Research Center released a report that showed that while America's incarceration rate is declining, we still have the highest rate in the world. So what makes mass incarceration a reproductive justice issue?
Yeah, so when you think about the criminal justice system, it literally violates every basic right, every basic reproductive right a person has, including the right to not only have a child, but also the right to parent your child after birth.
Yes, exactly. Prisons and jails undermine safe pregnancy care. They can deny people access to abortion and contraception and prevent people from parenting their children. So these facilities are also over-policed and unsafe environments, and which makes mass incarceration a huge driver in reproductive oppression. Now, to put this in more perspective, 85% of incarcerated women are of childbearing age, and according to We Testify, 1 in 25 people admitted to jail or prison are pregnant. What are some of the main barriers to reproductive justice these individuals face?
Yes, I'm happy to give some examples to illustrate what this could potentially look like for people who are incarcerated. First, beginning with incarceration itself, we know that incarceration tears apart families, and this is especially relevant to women who are the fastest growing group of prisoners in this country. They're a growing segment of our prison population, but they're also more likely to be the primary caregivers in their families. And most women, in fact, in state and federal prisons are mothers. Something else to consider is that jails and prisons are notorious for terrible medical care, for medical neglect. And these are the facilities that women who are pregnant or of childbearing age have to contend with. And then I think something else that a lot of people may not know is the fact that women who are pregnant in correctional facilities are often shackled during healthcare checkups, routine healthcare checkups, and also they're shackled during birth. So you can imagine what that impact is on not just the mother, but also the child. Shackling is actually still pretty widespread. As of December 2019, 29 states, DC, and the federal government had anti-shackling laws in place, but that is not true consistently across the country. And then, of course, once your child is born, as I said at the beginning, you can't parent your child because you're incarcerated.
We also know that some justice-involved parents can be denied access to public services and benefits, and having a criminal history can also have them be denied housing, education, employment, and so much more. So Maritza, how has the war on drugs impacted reproductive justice for certain communities?
The drug war has definitely impacted the reproductive rights of individuals. We know that many millions of parents have been subjected to foster care, surveillance, and control, including temporary and permanent loss of their children due to drug activity. In fact, a significant portion of cases in the family court system involve allegations of parental neglect based on substance use. So in other words, we're using substance use as a measure of whether somebody is a good parent or not, which we know is not really indicative of the child's welfare. And I don't have to tell you, but this disproportionately falls on women of color for a variety of reasons, including the fact that women of color just tend to be policed more, have more contact with the criminal legal system. And even in the child welfare system, we know that Black, Latina, and Native American women are more likely to have their children removed from their custody and are just generally subjected to more surveillance.
What are the policies and solutions that you're working on to change that?
Yeah, so the Drug Policy Alliance is working on this in several ways. One, we are leading a campaign along with family advocates to eliminate the injustice of drug testing pregnant people, new parents, and also infants without their informed consent. This is something that regularly happens across the country. And again, unfortunately, if a drug test comes back positive and is indicative of substance use, that can be used as a reason to subject a family to being torn apart in the foster care system, because it's often seen as a measure of how the person is parenting their child. So we're of course working on policing reform, divesting from policing, investing in public health services, things that we know create strong families and communities. We're also working on policy to end criminal penalties for drug use. So recently we introduced the first federal bill that would eliminate penalties for simple drug possession. This bill would also truly invest in public health outcomes so that people who want and need treatment have access to it. And it would also ensure that we end collateral consequences for people with convictions. I'm talking about things like access to SNAP and TANF, things like access to an education and housing, all of these things that we know can enhance the life of a family. Additionally, we have introduced the first bill that would also remove marijuana from the list of controlled substances. This bill is called the MORE Act. In addition to descheduling marijuana, decriminalizing it, the bill would provide for robust protections for people who have had past convictions. Again, making sure that they are not subjected to collateral consequences. You know, it's very important that families are able to keep a roof over their head, are able to feed their families in order to keep them healthy and intact. And then we're also working on a bill called the MEAL Act. We're leading efforts to get this bill passed into law. This bill would eliminate the penalty that is currently in place where people with drug convictions are not able to receive SNAP and TANF benefits. It's important for us to also address collateral consequences because we know that the criminal justice impact is major. It's not just an impact that is felt by the individual who is arrested or convicted. It's felt by families, which is why we try to make our policy advocacy as comprehensive as we can.
Maritza, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. If you want to learn more about how you can take action on the issues we discussed today, just visit genprogress.org.